Well, good morning again. Glad to be back with you. Uh, if you'll notice in my stories, a lot of time I talk about Alabama. I was partly raised in Alabama. I'm one of 7 children, and most of them have already gone. I was one of the younger ones. My oldest brother was 20 years older than me. When I was born, he had already been in World War II as a Marine. He was wounded on Guam. He lost a leg on Guam, and he was back home finishing high school when I was born. His name was Bob, quite a character. It seemed as all my folks was characters. It was around our house was kind of like being at the circus or something all the time. It's something big every day. We did not have indoor plumbing. Some of y'all may not be familiar with this, but our water supply was a well out behind the house, and we drew water. My brother Jim and I were in charge of drawing the water and getting in the firewood. Our facilities, such as restroom, was a outdoor facility out on the hill quite a ways behind the house. He built them quite a ways from the house because in the summertime they had a pretty good odor to them. But my brother Bob came in one day and he was in very much of a hurry, and we realized he was headed for the outhouse. So he goes on out the trail, and he's out there, and Jim and I are playing there close to the house, and we hear somebody hollering, Jim, John, come here. I said, what is that, Jim? He said, sounds like Bob. And he said, he's got problems. So we start out there, and he can see us through a crack in the wall, evidently. And he said, boys, don't come any closer. Jim, go get the rifle and a shell and bring it to me. Tell Mama. Well, Mama had a fear of guns. And we had an old-timey shift robe. We had a shotgun and a rifle, and she kept them locked up in the shift robe. Also, the shells was over here in another part of the shift robe. Both doors had locks on them, and she carried the key in her apron pocket. Nobody got a gun or a shell without Mama knowing about it. Well, Jim goes and tells Mama, and Mama said, what is it? Bob's needing a rifle and a shell out of the outhouse. Mama said, well, Bob's responsible enough to know if he says he needs one, it's okay. So Jim starts back out there, and Bob says, load it, but don't cock it. And Jim loads it. He said, don't come to the door. Come around here to the sidewall. The way we built them back then, the sidewalls didn't go all the way up to the roof. You had a gap about so wide all the way around. Ventilation is very critical in those days. Well, here's Bob's big arm sticking out through that vent. Hand it up here where I can get my hand on it, and then get back out of the way. Go way back out yonder. And Jim said, what is it? I'll tell you in a minute. So Bob retrieves the rifle and gets it in there with him. It's just a second. We hear a kapow. And then there's something slings out of the door. Jim says, that's a snake. It was about a 4.5 foot timber rattler. It had visited Brother Bob while he was in the outhouse. And Bob, quite a large guy, his left leg, of course, as I've already told you, was a wooden leg. He managed to get that right leg up on the seat with him enough. The snake bit him on that left leg. He probably had dulled his fangs pretty good before Bob shot him. Whatever. Bob killed the rattlesnake. He had 11 rattles and a button. My brother Jim kept the rattles. He had them. They were hanging over his mantle the last time I was there before Jim passed away. I would like to have had those, but I'm sure one of his sons has them. But my brother Norman was next in age to Bob, and he was quite a clown. He told all around over the community that when that snake bit Bob's wooden leg, that it swelled up and it just kept swelling. It swelled so big that we cut enough lumber out of it to build a house. But when we painted the house, we painted it with turpentine-based paint, and turpentine draws poison out. And when it drew all the poison out, we used it for a doghouse then. It shrunk up so much. So that's my story about the rattler and the outhouse.